Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to showcase a pretty cool dynamic transition. It's something I use to add a lot of energy to any edit, and it's called the kick transition. Oh, we're recording, sorry. So that kick transition is actually a lot easier than it looks. It's super simple and it's super streamlined, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I shoot it, and then we'll go into the editing process as well as a little bit of the sound design to show you how to get everything together to make a pretty cool transition. Okay, so before I get into the actual shooting method, let me quickly go over my settings. And so right now I have the Sony FX3 and I'm shooting at 60 frames per second. I recommend 60 frames per second for any sort of speed ramping. It just allows for a little bit smoother image, and it's really easy to slow it down and speed it up. And because I'm shooting at 60 FPS, I've got my shutter speed at 1/125th of a second, basically double that. My ISO, I've just got it bumped up to the second base ISO, 12,800. That allows for a clean image on the FX3 in low light. And along that, I've got the Laowa 10mm. The wide lens is pretty crucial in these sort of interactive shots because it allows you to get closer to the subject. It allows for piece to actually kick the lens. And I've got the variable ND filter. This is the Freewell V2 magnetic VND. This one's pretty nice because it's really large, easy to use, and it doesn't allow for a vignette on the 10mm lens. And everything I've got on the DJI RS3 Pro gimbal, but honestly, any gimbal works. This is just what I have. Use what you have. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna have you lift your leg up as it gets closer, slowly, yeah, and then you can kick the lens and I'll pull back. So the first movement, we're gonna basically do a dolly zoom. I'm gonna walk towards piece. He's gonna slowly lift his leg, act like he's kicking the camera, and we're gonna walk backwards. Let me show you. Okay, and 3, 2, 1, yep. Let me do it again. You take 2 steps back. Act like you're about to go like this, and then as you step forward, I'll walk backwards. Yeah. Sun, ni, ich.
Let me actually kick it.
No, you can kick it. It's fine. Actually, try to kick it.
Okay.
And 3, 2, 1, go. Perfect. All right, cool. Okay, so for the middle 2 scenes, I'm just gonna do slow movements past piece. This is basically gonna connect the kick to the final catch. So again, these are just nice and slow movements. And I'm basically just trying to keep piece somewhat central as I walk past him. So again, we're walking past, and then we keep him locked on centrally. Cool. Again, same movement. We're gonna keep everything nice and steady. This one, after I come past piece, I'm gonna slightly turn my gimbal to the right. I want him to actually catch the camera at the end. So we're just gonna slightly introduce that sideward movement on top of our very steady movement. So again, okay, so we shot that first kick intro. We've done a couple pass-by scenes. And the final scene is I want piece to actually catch the camera. I think it'll be a fun, interactive way to do this. These sort of catching interactive shots work best with this 10mm or any sort of wide lens. I'd say anything over like or wider than 24, maybe 20mm. I mean, I think 24 you could even do this possibly, but wider just looks a lot better. So let me just go ahead and show you. Basically, I'm gonna do this handheld without the gimbal, and I've set my settings now to 1/60 of my shutter speed, and my frame rate is 30 FPS. This is just for better motion blur.
Do you want me to grab the lens?
Yeah, okay. I'm literally gonna put your hand out. I'm gonna come in like that.
Then
that's it. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yep.
3, 2. Perfect. I'm gonna do it one more time.
Yep.
3, 2. I'm gonna do it one more time. As you notice, piece has his hand out already. That just makes it easier when you actually do these interactive things rather than him raising his hand. Because you already know it's gonna be here at the end, it makes it easier to direct your movement into this point here. Okay, so 3, 2. And I'll do one last one. This is perfect though. All right, ready? 3, 2. Boom. Nice and easy. I did Okay, some key tips for shooting this and also keeping everything organized for when you edit it later. The first thing is that you want to shoot this at a very high frame rate, either 60 frames per second, or if you want to do it at 120 FPS, you can, but I found that 60 FPS is kind of the sweet spot for these sort of speed ramps. The second is that you want to use a gimbal. And the reason for this is that you want your movements to be nice and slow and steady. They want to be continuous. That way, when you speed ramp later, everything feels smoother, and it's also not super jerky. It like speed ramps and then speed ramps again, and everything looks nice and smooth. The other tip is that you want to make sure that your movements are nice and confident. You really want to sell the effect for these sort of interactive transitions. So like Peace, for instance, he's actually, I'm trying to have him, he doesn't want to, but I'm trying to have him kick the camera or actually catch the camera. And sometimes when you use more expensive cameras, this might not feel normal or natural. In that case, maybe try it with an iPhone or something smaller or a GoPro. But I like to do that with the FX3, just get in there, really get those motions, because it makes it feel a lot more natural, a lot more realistic, like real life movements, and it just makes for a cooler transition. And then finally, before we hop into editing, take multiple takes of each movement. As you saw there, maybe I did at least three types of movements, or the same movement 2 or 3 times. That gives you a little bit of variation in the edit. Sometimes when you end up picking one, it just doesn't feel right for whatever reason. Maybe the movement was a little bit stiff, or your timing as the video was approaching or the camera was approaching, not as smooth. So in those cases, it's always helpful to have 2 or 3 versions from which you can choose in the edit, which is what we're about to hop in now. Okay, so now let's hop into the editing process. And the editing can seem a little bit intimidating, but let me break it down for you and make it seem super simple, because it really is. So basically what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna go to your Premiere Pro timeline or whatever software you use. You could use CapCut, you could use Final Cut, anything. The principles remain the same. You're gonna bring this into your editing timeline and you're gonna just layer the 4 clips in sequence. So you're gonna start with the kick motion, then you're gonna have the full movement of the middle 2 frames, and then the final catch motion. You're just gonna lay these out. The key for this transition, this effect, is speed ramping. And so in order to enable speed ramping on Premiere Pro, other editors, it's really simple. But in Premiere Pro, you're gonna right click, you're going to click time remapping speed, and that's going to showcase these lines. And these lines are now able to be manipulated through keyframes to create these S curves. And now the key here is that you're gonna wanna create these S curves. Basically, you're gonna go from 100% or even 50% if you wanna start out slow, all the way up to, let's say like 1,000 or 1,500%. That's sort of the sweet spot for these normal movement transition timings. Once you have your S curves created, so you're gonna go from 100% up to this super fast movement, the next frame or the next scene is you're gonna start at that high speed, basically 1,000 again or whatever, and then you're gonna bring it down this time to 100% for this section that you wanna keep normal speed. So basically what this is so between the outro and the intro of each clip basically is where you're gonna want this smooth, quick speed up and speed down. And that's gonna mask that transition in between the clips. The key here is if you wanna make it look even more natural, you're gonna wanna add motion blur. In Premiere Pro, I use a plugin, not sponsored by, I don't know if it's a company, I think it's just called Revision Effects or Revision After, I don't know what it's called, but it's called RSMB. It's Real Smart Motion Blur. If you want it, I'll link it down in the description, but if there's an alternative in any other software, I think After Effects has it built in. It's called like CC Force Blur, Force Motion Blur. If you know exactly what it's called, leave a comment down below. And basically what you're gonna do is just apply this adjustment layer with this plugin called RSMB in between or on top of the actual sped up sections of the video. For me, that's typically 5 frames from 0 or from 100% up to 1,000%. I like to space it over 5 frames. And then for the next scene, when we go from really fast to really slow, again, over 5 frames. And that's all it is. You're basically gonna speed up and speed down over these 4 clips, and that'll give you this really cool effect. Again, you have to tweak this to whatever liking, but for the most part, that's kind of the main setup. Now the fun part, and the part that really sells this transition and any transition, is the sound design. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in super helpful. Epidemic Sound has an amazing library of both music and, in this case, sound effects. I get a lot of questions about where I find the tracks and sound effects I use, especially for edits like this, where the right energy really makes the difference. I've been using Epidemic Sound for a few years now for both personal projects and client work. And honestly, it's been one of the easiest upgrades to my editing workflow. They've got a massive library, full tracks, cinematic sound effects, bass hits, risers, basically anything you could need. And everything is fully licensed for YouTube, Instagram, client work, whatever you're creating, so you never have to stress about copyright issues. I love that I can search by mood, genre, or even BPM, and just find something that fits the vibe almost instantly. For this transition, the sound effects are sourced through Epidemic Sound, and they really fit the mood. And if you want a head start, I actually made a custom playlist with some of my favorite tracks that I personally use all the time. I'll leave a link to that playlist down in the description too. Definitely check it out if you want to save some time digging around to find some really good tunes. Huge thanks again to Epidemic Sound. I couldn't have made this transition tutorial without their support. In your timeline, once you have your transitions laid out or your clips laid out, again, now you're gonna want to go ahead and include, for this one, I like these deep whooshes as well as a nice riser in between these transitions. And then at the end, I like to add what's called a very big, deep impact. And sometimes I'll add even like a little ringing sound, a little ringing tone to kind of give it that almost like shock feeling as piece catches the camera. To spice up everything, I've actually added a little hit preset that I have from my store. It's just something that, I mean, you can do this on your own. You can just transform a little movement to really sell the effect. And that's it. That's the kick transition. So yeah, that was the kick transition. I hope it made sense. If you have any questions on the movements, the editing, the sound effects, leave me a comment down below. Thanks again. Peace. Again, huge thanks for filming this, being my model. If you like the color grading in this video, please check out my store. I've got it linked down below. All my assets are there, available, ready to download. And thanks again for watching to the very end. I'll see you guys in the next one.